As much as it pains me to say, I am more than willing to admit that Donald Trump won the 2024 election fair and square. You aren't going to see me out there storming the Capitol because I think this was in any way stolen from Kamala Harris. But ever since he won this election, all we have been hearing is that he won in a huge landslide. But that's not even close to true. But first, if you want to support independent progressive media and help me make it to 1,000 subscribers, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 before the end of the year, and I would very much appreciate your support. Now, I would imagine that no matter who you talk to in the Republican Party right now, they are going to say that Donald Trump won in an overwhelming landslide and that he was given a mandate by the American people to do whatever the hell he wants. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all if these were the marching orders that the Republicans were given, because it seems like no matter what interview they give, they are shouting at the top of their lungs about this so-called mandate.
The American people spoke loud and clear on Tuesday. They gave this president and Republicans a mandate.
They know that Donald Trump's got a great mandate.
What it means is that Donald Trump has a mandate now from the American people.
He has a clear mandate.
Make no mistake, Donald Trump has a massive mandate. A common sense coalition destined to rebuild the American dream.
I think we've got a mandate from the American people.
The American people's voices were heard. There's a mandate.
Yeah, so it just keeps on coming and coming and coming. They keep on using this whole mandate idea to justify all of the craziness that we've already seen before he was even inaugurated. And yes, it was shocking how well Donald Trump won. He actually won the popular vote, which was totally unexpected. He carried all of the swing states, which was also unexpected. Because the election itself was supposed to be so close, and it was very, very close, it did look like an overwhelming blowout to a lot of people right after the election. But now we know that he didn't even get half of the vote. The popular vote he did win, yes, but less than half of the American voting public voted for Donald Trump. More people voted against him than they did for him. I mean, just check this out. 226 to 312. That's not even that huge of an electoral win. But if you look at the popular vote, 48.3% to 49.8%. So how can you say that you have this huge mandate when more people voted against you than they did for you? We know what a landslide actually looks like. We've had many of them in our country before. But what Donald Trump did in 2024 was not that. I mean, just take a look at how big of an actual landslide Ronald Reagan got back in, what, I think 84?
On November 6, 1984, President Reagan went on to win his second term in a landslide. He won 49 of the 50 states and earned 525 of 538 electoral votes, the most electoral votes ever won by any president in history.
So he won 49 states, 525 electoral votes. That, my friends, is a landslide. That is what an electoral college blowout looks like. Donald Trump got 312 electoral votes. He only got 49.3% of the popular vote. This was a very, very close election. There is no overwhelming mandate for you to go do whatever the hell you want to do. He thinks he's going to get away with all of these mass deportations. I don't think the Americans are down for that. He thinks he's going to do all of these crazy tariffs. I don't think Americans are going to be down for that. He's staffing up his administration with a crap ton of billionaires. I don't think most Americans are down for that either. And I think we are likely to see Donald Trump overplaying his hand time and time and time again because they are under this false pretense of this huge mandate, but also because he's supposed to be a lame duck president. Donald Trump doesn't have any fucks to give, so he's likely to do much more crazy things than his first time around. And on top of that, there aren't going to be the guardrails that were in place in his first administration because he's staffing up his cabinet with a whole bunch of sycophants. So whenever he goes to do something crazy, they're going to turn their head and look the other way, or they're just going to say, okay, boss, you have at it. But let's take a look at, in perspective, if we look at Donald Trump's win versus other wins in history, just how small Donald Trump's actually was.
If you look historically speaking, Donald Trump is now under 50% in the national popular vote, barely under 50%, but he is under 50%. And I want to take a look and compare his popular vote victory to those historically speaking over the last 200 years. His popular vote victory ranks 44th out of 51. That ain't exactly strong. Some might argue that is weak, in the words of Tony Blair. In fact, his popular vote win at this point is the weakest, going all the way back. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to find a weaker one, a smaller popular vote victory than Donald Trump currently has. So, yeah, Trump has won the popular vote, but it ain't all that, my dear friend John Berman.
Weak sauce it is. Was it impressive that Donald Trump won the popular vote? Yeah, I was surprised. I think most people were surprised. I wasn't very surprised that he rounded up all of the swing states, because if we looked at the pre-election analysis, it's pretty much said that if you were going to win, there was a 60% chance that you were going to run the board. So I wasn't necessarily surprised by that, but I was very shocked when he won the popular vote. That's okay. That's a loss that we're going to have to take on the chin. But I'm not sitting around trying to placate the Republicans and play along with this mandate nonsense. They do not have a mandate. Most Americans voted against Trump, and I'm just not going to play along, and you shouldn't either. And they won the presidency and the Senate and the House, but if we take a look at how slim the margin is in the House, it is quite stunning as well.
My goodness gracious. Yes, the Republicans are going to control the House of Representatives. But if all the current results hold up, we're looking at a record small majority after the Novembers in the last 90 years. You have to go all the way back since the Herbert Hoover administration to find an even smaller majority after the November elections. We're talking about the Republicans with 220 seats, Democrats with 215 if the current House results hold. And keep in mind that this will drop lower if Stefanik Waltz or others like Matt Gaetz leave the Congress.
Yeah, talk to me. This is sort of the best case scenario for Republicans, at least for the next few weeks or months. Where could it go?
Where could it go? It could shrink even further. So let's say Gaetz, Stefanik, and Waltz resigns. We could be looking at, get this, Republicans at 217, the Democrats at 215, and I went all the way back. Look, this is crazy. This is crazy, right? Because all it means is Democrats at 215 plus one GOP seat could tank the entire thing, because then both sides would be at 216 seats, John.
So it's literally one of the smallest margins in history. And they won by 5 seats, but because Donald Trump is such an incompetent buffoon, he was picking people out of the House to serve in his cabinet, which made their majority even smaller. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. And there are 2 ways to look at this. This is going to make each member of the House very, very powerful on the Republican side, because only 1 or 2 holdout votes and they can destroy whatever legislation is coming across the table. But we can also look at it in the other way, in the positive way. We've already seen that Republicans are not very good at governing. They were the first House in history to oust their own speaker? I mean, these people do not know how to govern. They are all vying for these attention points on television instead of actually trying to help the American people by governing effectively. So it's very likely that we are going to see complete chaos in Congress with these very narrow majorities. So do not let Republicans and conservatives and the Trump people try to gaslight you and say that they have an overwhelming majority by the American people. We should do whatever Donald Trump says that he wants to do because he has a huge mandate, because it is just not true. It is shocking that he won the popular vote. It is good that he won, not good for him that he won the House and the Senate. So he's got all 3 branches. Yes, He won. But it was no blowout victory like these clowns want you to believe. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. Like I said, I am trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I am in my final stretch with less than 60 to go, so I would very much appreciate your support. If you want to see just how devastating these mass deportations could be to our country, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, see you guys on the next one.